Let's begin with sheet sketch 1, SKT-1. I'm going to move to the top of the page, and what we would like to do today is practice drawing different types of lines. Most engineers who have drawn with mechanical instruments are used to making straight lines with triangles, T-squares, and that sort of thing. In this course, we're learning how to present our ideas by just sketching them without the aid of a straight edge. To draw, I'm simply going to use an old number 2 pencil. This is a very soft leaded HB pencil. Any other type of pencil that's somewhat similar will work just as well. Here's an old Ticonderoga. If you like mechanical pencils, I would recommend at least a 0.9 millimeter like this Pentel, and a 0.7 usually works. The 0.9 is nicer because it's a bolder, blunter line, and it's a whole lot easier to sketch with. If you want to erase, I recommend using a white eraser. This is a little clicking eraser. You can click the end of it and extend it. And the white eraser has the advantage of not smearing or smudging your drawing. Other types of white erasers would look like this, and if you have one on the end of your pencil, of course it would look like this. And to begin this page, that's all the equipment that we need. I'm going to take my pencil and move up here to the very top, and what I want to do is simply practice drawing different line types. The first line type you'll notice is an object line. It's just a dark, heavy line showing the outline or the edge of an object. And I have 4 horizontal lines here to practice on. As I make this line, a couple of things happen. As I start drawing across that soft line, I go so far and my hand actually stops my pencil. Then I move my hand again and continue. And you'll notice that as I draw, I also twist my pencil between my fingers so that I wear my line evenly on that lead. As you look at my line, you notice it certainly isn't perfectly straight, but it's generally straight, and that's what I'm going for. I'm not trying to draw perfect, hard line, straight edged lines. I'm trying to draw a generally straight line. And even though they have a few wiggles and they're not perfect, I can tell that that's supposed to be a straight line. The second line is the most difficult one. It's a hidden line. If you notice, it has line segments broken up by a small gap. These line segments are about 1/8 of an inch long, and the difficulty is making them consistently. When I start out, I want to make sure that the lines are the same length as close as I can get it, and my gap is rather small. I'll twist my pencil a little bit and continue. You will notice that my line once again is not perfectly straight, but it's generally straight. And although my lines are not all exactly the same, they are generally the same, as is the gap. As I continue down the page, the other thing that I notice is that when I'm through and look at it together, it looks like a hidden line. What I want to avoid are hidden lines that look like this, where I have inconsistent line lengths and really big gaps. We don't want that. The other thing that we don't want are almost dots that take on the appearance of ants crossing the page. We're not sure what kind of line that is, but it isn't a hidden line. What we want to do is be consistent with our lines and our gaps as we go across the page. And you have to really pay attention to get those correct. And as I go across the page, I continue to turn my pencil. And they look like that. A center line in the center of an object is not as heavy as a hidden line or the visible line, the object line. The center line is drawn a little lighter. Then I have a break and I have a little small dash similar to my hidden line. And then I have the rest of my center line. So it's a long line, a gap, small line, gap, and a long line. And what I'm going to do to make this center line not as dark, I'm not putting as much pressure on my pencil as I draw the center line. Once again, it's the consistency that makes it look neat. And a section line is a lighter line similar to the center line, except it's continuous. And what I want to do is show that I have cut through some material and I want these as consistent as possible and lighter than my object line. Now, as we move here, you can see that there are a couple of rectangles here to practice these lines. Section lines, representing where a cutting plane has sliced through an object, are typically drawn at a 45-degree angle. So I'll take my pencil and just practice being consistent in the spacing and in the line weight. And notice that you really do have to turn your pencil as you draw to keep from getting a heavy blunted line. And I can continue those across my sheet. For a little practice, a hidden line. We'll take a hidden line across the horizontal here. Once again, it isn't perfect, but it is consistent. And then I can start from the bottom and go up. I typically go from the top down when I'm drawing vertical lines. And I can make my hidden lines just for a little practice. Look like that. Last but not least, a center line. If you notice, I'm looking at, let's say, the top of a cylinder or the top of a hole, and in this case I'm going to take two center lines and I'm going to let them cross. And if I have drawn them correctly, they're going to be lighter in terms of line weight than my object line over here.